I'm J.R. Church. Welcome to today's analysis of the news. We've got some unusual stories out of the Middle East. This one from Egypt. Hundreds of Muslims over the weekend tried to set a local Egyptian Christian's home on fire after he announced he would turn his structure into a church. An Egyptian security source and local Christians made this available to the news. This article comes from WorldNet Daily. At least 4 Christians and 2 Muslim policemen were wounded in the clashes that ensued this past Friday, and about 500 local Muslims descended upon the small Christian village of Al-Hawasiliya, vowing to burn down the man's house. And local Christians said that the Muslim mob was provoked at a local mosque services. Quote, "The imams deliberately worked up the congregants against us," said a local Christian. The Muslims accused the Christian homeowner of attempting to build a church without the proper local permits. Islamic Sharia law, not explicitly accepted by the Egyptian government, forbids the construction of any new churches in a Muslim state. Existing churches are allowed to remain but cannot be expanded and cannot conduct public ceremonies or ring church bells. Egyptian police eventually stepped in to stop the Muslim crowd, but not before they first set fire to several Christian farms. This was not the first time Christians in Egypt were targeted on suspicion that they might build a church. In 2007, Muslims in Egypt attacked local Christians and set fire to their shops and homes after the Christian community was accused of attempting to build a church. The Egyptian government heavily restricts the construction or enlargement of churches, requiring permits for any Christian building. Coptic Christians constitute between 8 and 15% of Egypt's population. They are regularly targeted by the country's Muslim majority. And this comes from the Gaza Strip that, is down south of Israel. A senior church official and his wife were brutally assaulted last week when 3 masked men broke into their Gaza City home, reports the Jerusalem Post. Konstantin Dabag, executive secretary of the Near East Council of Churches, said that the intruders bound both he and his wife, covered their heads, and then proceeded to beat them. When the assailants were done with the couple, they spent about an hour ransacking the house. Dabag said one of the men told him they were looking for wireless communications devices, apparently suspecting the couple of espionage of some sort. In the end, they left with the couple's money, jewelry, and car. The incident was reported to the Hamas government, which said it was investigating. But if past attacks on members of Gaza's tiny Christian population since Hamas took power are any indication, the assailants were Muslims and will not be brought to justice for their actions. Now, what about this Sharia law in Egypt? If the Muslims have their way, no Christian churches can be built, as you can see, by attacking a Christian couple in Gaza. Well, listen to this. Gaza inches closer to Sharia law. This comes from Israel Today. The Hamas-ruled Gaza Strip is inching ever closer to being ruled by Sharia law. That's the Islamic law. Much like the Afghanistans were ruled by the Taliban prior to the U.S.-led invasion of that country. London-based Arabic daily Al-Quds Al-Arabi reported on Sunday that representatives of several Hamas government ministries, as well as senior Gaza police officials, had recently gotten together and formulated a, quote, general moral list, end quote, that is expected to be authorized and implemented in phases. Now, you got to understand that the Hamas promised, when they seized control of Gaza in 2007, that they would not impose the group's strict Islamic views on the residents of the coastal strip area. How long did that last? The effects of that decision were seen earlier this month when a Gaza court ruled that female lawyers must wear traditional head coverings and dresses when practicing law. That ruling followed independent reports over the past few months that Muslim morality squads had increased their activity in Gaza, especially on the beaches, where they were forcing female bathers to cover their heads. The same squads have also been inspecting vehicles to make sure unmarried couples are not traveling alone together. Sharia law. Will that ever happen in America? Well, I want you to know that in Washington, D.C., there are people working on it as we speak. How long will it last? I can say with John, who ended the book of Revelation by saying, "Even so come, Lord Jesus." I'm J.R. Church. We'll see you again tomorrow with our analysis of the news.